And now it's my personal honor to invite my dearest friend, my great partner, and the founder of Cytactic, my partner Menny Barzilay, who is also the CTO of the Blavatnik ICRC Tel Aviv Center, and to talk a little bit about how cyber crises become personal.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Nimrod, for moderating this amazing event. Thank you, Gili. I'm not sure if she's here, but thank you so much for hosting us. I'm going to talk about cyber crisis management and the fact that it's getting personal, and you know about that. By now, everybody should probably know, and if you've ever been in one of our conferences, you should know that. Cyber crises are a big problem. Business leaders, not tech leaders, business leaders, all over the world rate cyber crisis as the #1 business threat. It is not a chance, or it is not an accident, that the management school here at the Tel Aviv University teaches cyber crisis management. This is something that Nimrod, Dr. Kozlovsky, is among of those who leads this. So business schools teach cyber crisis management because it's a business problem. And people are afraid because this is a huge problem. And if you've ever been in one of our conferences, you already know that you have to assume it's going to happen. The responsible approach towards cyber crisis management says that you have to assume that a cyber crisis will happen in the next 5 years. Now, it is true. It's not 100% that it will happen. But the responsible thing is to assume it's going to happen. And if you understand that it's going to happen, you understand that you have to get ready, because readiness is key. Readiness is the differentiator factor. It's the thing that will eventually dictate whether your organization will suffer huge damages or will almost have no damages because of that attack. And you already know, the last thing that you're supposed to know is that it's a multidisciplinary problem. Cyber crisis is something that many stakeholders inside organizations have to deal with. So you have the tech people, the CISO, obviously the CAO, you have the legal people, you have the PR people, you have the management, the board of directors, the investor relations, the insurance people, the financial people, the operation people, the business continuity people, all of which has to work together in order to manage this crisis. And in many different crises, the main problem, usually you will find it in different places. Sometimes the legal problem is the main problem. Sometimes the PR problem is the main problem. Sometimes the business continuity problem is the main problem. So you already know that, I assume, and if not, you should. The problem is that many organizations don't want to deal with cyber crisis management. Usually the tech people are very good in dealing with that, but everyone else, the CISO, the CEO, the legal people, the PR people, they don't feel that this is something they know how to deal with. So sometimes because it sits outside their comfort zone, they just don't want to do that. And this is one of the challenges. Organizations are not good with crisis management. So in the world of cybersecurity, we have become very good in prevention because that's a technological problem that the CISO solved. We have gotten very good with detection because it's a technological problem that the CISO solved. We are not that good with response. But some things that happen in the cyber crisis world forces us to be much, much better because it's getting personal. There is a difference between a traditional crisis like fire and cyber crisis. For example, with a cyber crisis, you deal with an intelligent entity. You deal with someone their goal is to try and destroy your continuity ability. They try to stop your ability to respond to the crisis. And one of the biggest differences is that with cyber crisis, usually the victims are considered to be the ones to blame. So you're not being addressed as a victim, you are being addressed as a person who didn't do enough. And that's a problem. And that's a problem because it's getting personal. And we see heads rolling. Several events that happened in the past few years show us a trend. And the trend is that it's getting dangerous to be in charge of cyber crisis readiness. So let me give you some examples. I've asked ChatGPT, and it's amazing that ChatGPT now have references. They have links. Never trust those links. Many times when I click them, I get to this page, it's not there. But it's amazing that they have start doing that. So I asked ChatGPT, tell me, when did managers got fired or personally had responsible legally because of a fire? A crisis that happened because of a fire. So ChatGPT said, oh, okay, it happened in London in 2017. And the reason that the CEO got held responsible was that 72 people actually died. So I asked ChatGPT, okay, amazing. So actually it happened. When did it happen? Oh, show me more examples. And it wasn't very easy for ChatGPT. The next example was from 1967. And that was the Apollo 1 spacecraft. And when I asked for more examples, ChatGPT says, well, it's hard for me to give you more examples. I apologize for misunderstanding. It is uncommon for CEOs to be fired, especially due to fire incidents, unless there are severe negligence or misconduct issues. So this is not very common in other types of crises, but in cyber crisis, it happened again and again. So SolarWinds, you're familiar, I hope, with the SolarWinds incident, one of the biggest incidents in the cybersecurity world. It's a great and terrible incident. And because of this incident, the share price of SolarWinds went down. And because of that, the shareholders decided to sue the company. So the shareholders themselves sued the company. But if you look at the paper that they filed, you see that there is the corporate defendant. They actually sued the company. But there is also the executive defendant. They also sue personally 2 people from within the organization. The first one is the CEO. So the shareholders sue the CEO directly. But not just the CEO, the CISO as well, Tim Brown. And the reason that they said that it is his responsibility, they said something amazing. They said, this guy, Tim Brown, who's a brilliant guy, by the way, a very esteemed member of the cybersecurity community, this guy was amazingly enough, was going to conferences and walking on stages and telling people how good the security of SolarWinds is. He was participating in those conferences, and he was actually part of Cyber Week in the past, telling people how SolarWinds takes cybersecurity responsibly. And when they got hacked, the shareholders say that it wasn't fair. Because of his statements, because he was on stage telling how the security is being taken seriously, we invested in SolarWinds, which is obviously bullshit, of course. But this is what they say, and this is why they sue the company. SolarWinds said, no way. We will not accept this lawsuit. The cyber attack and ensuing decline in SolarWinds' stock price were materializations of risks which the company explicitly and repeatedly warned investors. So say that we said that we could get hacked. What do you want from us? But the court didn't agree with that. The shareholders didn't agree with that. And eventually SolarWinds agreed to pay $26 million to settle shareholder lawsuit of a data breach, just so it wouldn't be personal against the CEO and the CISO. And they say, we did it, but we don't take any responsibility. We do not admit that we did any wrongdoing, but we did it. So people are getting sued personally. Another fascinating story happened in Germany. If you're not familiar with this story, it's a brilliant story. A hospital in Germany got attacked with ransomware, and because of that, the hospital went down. A lady that was in an emergency vehicle on the way to the hospital, the emergency vehicle got a message saying, you cannot come here. The hospital is down. You have to go to another hospital. So they went to this another hospital, which was over 30 kilometers away. And because of that, the treatment to this lady was delayed in 1.5 hours. And she died short time after she reached the next hospital. And they suspected that they could prove that she died because of the cyber attack. And the prosecutor said that if they will be able to prove that she died because of this cyber attack, they will be able to charge the hackers with manslaughter or negligent homicide. Brilliant, brilliant case. But then they said something else. They said, well, if we will eventually charge the hackers with negligent homicide or manslaughter, we will probably take action against the IT staff of the hospital as well. That's crazy. Suddenly, you are an IT person in a hospital, and you could find yourself in jail because you didn't install patches in your systems, and someone died. The world is getting crazy. Obviously, the Uber case is the most famous case in this list. I assume everybody heard about the Uber case, and if not, you should learn about it. In this case, the CISO of Uber, another brilliant guy, decided to hide an incident. Uber was hacked. They didn't want to know the regulators, the FTC, so they told the hacker, just just instead of hacking us, let us know that there is a security problem through our bug bounty program, the program that will allow security researchers to notify Uber if they find problems. And we will pay you. And by that, we will transform it from a security incident into something which is like some security consultancy. And eventually, the regulators discovered, and they fined Uber for $150 million. And the CISO of Uber was charged and found guilty and got 3 years of probation. He was supposed to go to jail, but he did so many good things in his career that eventually the judge said, you know what, we will not put him in jail, but he got 3 years probation, he had to pay a big fine, and he had to do a lot of community service. The last story that I want to tell you, because I have 3 minutes to go, that was something that happened in Finland just recently. I like this Wired title. They told the therapist everything, hackers leaked it all. So there is a place called Vastaamo, which is a health provider, private mental health provider in Finland. They have so many branches, so it's being called the McDonald's of psychotherapy, right? And hackers hacked into this organization, and they leaked the information, not just the emails and the information about the people who've been there, but all the notes, everything that you told the therapist, they logged in the computer, so the hacker took it, which is obviously devastating. 30,000 people got affected. 25,000 reported it to the police. And if you're getting hacked, suddenly your clients might go to the police, and this is a big problem for you as a company. Eventually, the CEO got 3 months suspended sentence, which is a big deal. The judge said, the only reason I'm not putting him in jail is because, obviously, the board fired the CEO. He got 3 months suspended sentence for the CEO. And the judge said, that he's not putting him in jail because he didn't have previous criminal record. Suddenly, as a manager in a corporate, they have to check if you have previous criminal record to see how you handled, how you should be held responsible if you got hacked with a cyber crisis. This is crazy. This situation is crazy. And that's also another amazing statement. During the trial, the CEO placed the responsibility of the breach on 2 of the company's former IT employees. This is crazy. Being an IT person is becoming very, very dangerous. So my last slide for this presentation. Being ready makes a difference. It is very dangerous in today's reality not to be prepared for a cyber crisis. Most of the damages that you will suffer during crisis comes from the fact that you don't know how to manage the crisis. Not because you got hacked, everybody got hacked, but because of the decisions that you've made after you got hacked. This is very dangerous. You have to have the professionals with you. I'm very happy with this conference. So many professionals will be on this stage. So many people with so many insights to share with you on cyber crisis management. I think this is very important that you're here. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.